Good afternoon folks, 21st Century Caveman here. Hope everybody's well, I hope everybody's happy. So another little project which we're hoping to complete this afternoon. You may recall that I recently lifted all of these boards in order that I could insulate the floors, put loads of rolls of insulation between the joists. In order to get the boards up, I had to remove the nails. These weren't screwed in, regrettably, they were nailed in, and the only way I could think of actually removing the boards, getting the nails out, was by basically using a small circular saw bit to drill around the hole and then basically pull up the nail. In order that I could preserve the boards, which are in pretty decent nick, to be honest, and also to avoid the unnecessary cost of replacing boards which don't need replacing, and of course, you know, getting the things to the property, having to cut them down to size, you know, all that sort of stuff, having to get underneath the stud walls, basically an incredible amount of hassle when there was another option available. So we have a number of boards here in all of the bedrooms which have been lifted, loads of holes on here. They've since been screwed down, as we can see. So the question arises as to how are we going to fill in these holes. I'll reset the camera and get back to you. Right, so clearly there are more than one ways of tackling this project. There were a number of suggestions and I'm really grateful for all of the feedback which I received. One of the common ones was basically get yourself a circular saw bit and a piece of board and just drill out a number of circles and just stick them in the hole, which, you know, is fair enough, but, you know, if you've ever tried to remove a piece of circular timber or board from one of those circular saw pieces, try and get it out first of all, and then to get it out in one piece, it can be quite difficult without chewing the thing up. So basically, you know, arguably you're back where you started. But a very kind gentleman who I think is probably a genius did put forward an idea which I'm actually going to adopt. In fact, actually, I came to the house yesterday evening and made a start. So this is quite ingenious to my mind. So let me just show you what he suggested. So as we can see, we have some PVA. I got this from Wickes, it's quite cheap. I'll put the price on the screen. We also have a couple of bales, we've only got one here, but of sawdust. So this is for small creatures. This is very inexpensive. I got it from Pets at Home. As I say, I bought a couple of these, and basically it's just a case of just breaking this stuff down, you know, chomping it up, getting rid of all the bits, and then mixing it up with some of the PVA into a nice, thick, firm paste, and then just basically just bunging it in the holes here, smoothing it over, and then moving on to the next one. So look, I just thought I'd do a little bit of filming and bring you along and show you what I'm doing, just take you along and just share the process with you, and we'll see how we go. Now, I have already started this, and I'll just show you what I did yesterday evening. So when I came to the property, I did this landing and also this bedroom in here. So 24 hours later, how are we doing then? Now, it's starting to harden out. This hasn't hardened completely. It's still a little bit soft. In fact, it's a bit like a bit of Weetabix, really. And but it's definitely hardening up. And I'm very confident that when this does completely set, it's going to be very hard and do an absolutely super job. But anyway, this is 24 hours later. I'm sure given another 24 hours, it will be absolutely spot on. So without further ado, let's start mixing some of this stuff up and start filling in a few more holes, shall we? I'll reset the camera and get back to you. Incidentally, I just thought I'd mention that also I've got a, excuse me, just got a mixing blade here, a little filling knife, and a filling blade just to smooth things out. So as I say, first step is basically just to get the sawdust in the container. Now it is obviously compacted at this stage, so we just need to break some off like so. There we go. Now I make up quite a dry mix, and whether or not it would be better if it was slightly more moist, I don't know. But anyway, look, I mean, this isn't rocket science. I think it's a case of experimenting with it really. So just mix it up, love. Right, so I'm going to leave it at this. So as you can see, you know, it's not a runny mix. And it looks rather like tuna and mayo at the moment. There we go, look. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, we're going to go with that. So I use this little tiny knife here, which fits into the holes really well. And is very easy to use. Really is very simple. So what I do, look, with the filling blade, just dunk it in some water so the blade's nice and wet, then just go over it like that. Basically it's job done. So let's move on to the next one. Obviously just make sure you push it in. When you fill the blade. And move on.